Well, welcome to Malta for round 2 of the 2010 UIM Grand Prix of the Sea. First of all, we're going to take a word with one of our lady competitors from Great Britain, Shelley Jory-Lee.
How much are you going to push your throttle man this time?
Oh, I'm going to push him even harder than we did in Malta. Malta was a first race for us. We just getting to know each other. So this time, no excuses. Flat.
You think you can do one place better?
I hope so. You always aim for the top of the podium, second place in Malta. So yeah, that's the aim. We need a win. The boat's built for these conditions. You know, if it's a little bit choppy out there, which in Malta it usually is, then that's going to be fabulous.
Well, what Shelley was referring to there was round 1 in Yalta at the start of the year. The rotary sponsored machine that she's piloting out there. The throttle man in that boat is a gentleman by the name of Patrick Habergetz from Belgium. He was new to the team and to her at the start of the year, and like she said, she wants him to give it all that he possibly can. So these boats are the super sport boats. They are basically the manufacturer's class in power boating, and as you can see, everybody sits out there open in the breeze. There's no canopies to keep them in the boats. They don't wear seat belts either, would you believe? Yes, it's as mad as it sounds, but they do have a great time. There are lots of boats here in Malta this weekend. One of those you can see right in front of you there is the Biattolini boat. That's from Italy, and a real staunch supporter of the series over the years. And the next we're going to be seeing the Team 26 boat, the Donzi boat from Great Britain. That's the boat right in front of you there. Two guys in there. Dan Cranthorne's the pilot. On the throttles is a gentleman by the name of Kim Collins. As you can see, they do sit out there and get buffeted about in the waves a hell of a lot. And it really, really is a tough job steering these boats and keeping the throttle on all the time as well. They really do have to have great communication again, which is what Shelley Jory-Lee was referring to in her earlier interview. Now, the Donzi guys hoping to do really, really well in Malta this weekend. Both of them from Great Britain with this beautiful machine. Let's get a few words from them before we get to the racing action.
You made a real good time yesterday, huh?
Yeah, no, we're very pleased. Boat came together well, team came together well, and yeah, had a good power pole, had no problems at all. Very pleased.
Now, what was the secret of your boat? Why is he so fast?
I think it's a combination of lots of things, lots of setup time and lots of teamwork, and it was a good result. To be honest, we didn't expect it to be such a good result. We was just making sure that everything was all correct, that all our preparation work was done properly. So it was a very pleasant surprise.
Well, that's the pilot there, Dan Cranthorne, and his throttle man, Kim Collins. Another boat coming out to run in the power pole is the Jolly Drive team from Italy. And another Italian team as well out there on the water for the power pole is the Carolpiu boat. Next up, we just have a look at the Evolution boats. That's the fabulous looking Lucas Oil machine from Sweden. And here's the pilot.
How was the first experience in the Maltese waters?
It's lovely. It's a pretty uneven chop out there, from pretty calm up to 1.2 meter high. Very nice run. Short course for testing today, but it's lovely waters to be running in and lovely weather.
Is this what your boat is made for?
Yeah, and actually we would like it to be a bit more rough. We like the high waves and the rough water. That's when we do our best.
Well, it must be good fun riding the high waves and the rough water in that boat. As you can see, fully enclosed. These are the Evolution boats, more powerful and possibly slightly faster as well. Great to see Lucas Oil involved in the Grand Prix of the Sea season for 2010. Well, the next guys we're going to catch up with are the Cranfield's Wine guys, all the way from Germany.
This is not the same boat that we see you here in Yalta.
No, this is a different boat, since the boat we were racing in Yalta had some mechanical problems, and the boat was not repaired in time for the race in Malta. So then I went out to look for another place in the boat. So luckily I found an agreement with C-Rex, and C-Rex and Carconex may find a solution for the rest of the season.
It looks like you have a new team in your boat.
Yeah, we are a new team. I was throttling all the time, and I have a new driver now, again from Belgium. We are looking for strong partners, especially on the basis of having sponsors and so on. So there's also Car Connects now on my boat, and that makes us strong, and we are looking to the future.
Well, another tremendously impressive machine. And great to hear from them, and good to hear that their season can continue in 2010 after all the problems they had at round one of the championship in Malta. Well, again, before we get to the racing, time to catch up with some more guys. The Meta Marine boat from Italy.
In Malta, your boat was a lot faster than everybody, but it didn't last. What was the problem?
We break one turbo in the first race. It was very rough, and it's perfect for this boat. We have a long experience in this kind of conditions, but unfortunately we break one turbo in the first race. We have to go slowly, but we finished third. In the second race, with the calm water, we finished second, few seconds back from the first.
Now, here in Malta, it looks like the conditions could be very rough also. Is this perfect for your boat?
Yes, I hope to find rough, not too much, because obviously the boat is very heavy, but you can break something in the very rough condition. But Malta, I think, is a good race for us.
Well, rough conditions, some of these guys really do like it out there when the sea's that little bit choppy. The next guys we're going to get a word with is the Fernabo boat from Belgium, driven by Frank Hemlar.
Frank, after the first race in Malta, we're now in Malta. Are you going to do better this time? Are you going to dominate?
We're gonna try to do it. We have a new pilot. New pilot, it's the old one. It's Pierre next to me. Last time in Malta it was Benjamino. It was first time together. We had a very good race for the first time together, but this is the old one, so we have to do better, and for sure we're gonna do better.
What is the positive or the good things of this boat?
Rough water, flat water, it's the same in both conditions. It's a very good boat. Very fast in turning also.
Well, everybody sounded very confident indeed today. One team that should be confident, champions from last year, Snav Kinton.
Giancarlo, in Malta you were more or less dominating the event. Is it the intention to do this again?
For sure. Malta especially, because I win the Grand Prix of Malta 3 times. And Malta is very important for us to affirmate our position in this championship, but I think also the other teams think to do better than Malta.
What is the secret of your boat? Because it was really very fast.
I say that everyone, every day, the best boat win, not the fast boat. Perhaps after 3 years, this boat have the good balance to develop speed and endurance.
These boats really are a fine balance between the both. Speed and endurance is what they need. With the races lasting anywhere up to an hour and a half, they do need to be very reliable and also quick. The Meta Marine boat out here, this is power pole. What that means is they go out there and, if you like, set a time on the course to see where they're going to start in the race, which actual grid position they're going to get. And the Meta Marine boat did very well indeed, ended up number 3. But obviously if they're number 3, somebody's number 2 and somebody's number 1 as well. The guys we spoke to earlier with the Fernabo boat, they were really on form this weekend in power pole in Malta, looking to get right up there. They ended up number 2 after their fantastic lap, and looking really good out there. Everybody sounding confident this weekend coming into Malta, and it's not surprising. Well, as I said, the Fernabo boat running very, very well indeed. The man on the throttle was Frank Hemler. We heard from him a little bit earlier on. As I said, everybody sounding supremely confident here in Malta this weekend. And after that lap, let's hear what Frank has to say.
Frank, 36 hundredths of a second, and you were in pole.
Yeah, 36 of a second is almost nothing. We had one big wave. That's where we lost, I think, 1 second. But second is nice place.
Now the race is going to be a lot more rougher. Is the boat okay for this?
Boat is okay for this. It's not that long way to go today. Boat is very good in turns. Pierre is very good in turns, and I think we can do it. It will be hard, but we go for it.
Well, a great lap for them, only foiled by a wave, would you believe? Number one though, the Snav Kitten boat from Italy. The pilot this weekend, Giovanni Carpitella, he's very confident after that lap. Like I said, can you believe that? They didn't get number one by virtue of a big wave. Let's catch up with Giovanni right now.
You made fastest time, so the boat is okay, I think.
Yeah, the boat is okay. We have worked very hard in this period between the two races. Now the boat is fast also in the flat water. Today is not flat for the race, but the boat in the rough water was good. Yesterday we did a very good time, a very good turn, a very fast turn, so we defend our position, the first.
Well, a very happy man indeed this weekend in Malta, and these Grand Prix of the Sea events really are a big deal everywhere they go. This man right here is the president of Malta. He's coming down to check out all the boats, check out how everything works. As you can see, lots of media and attention following him around the docks here on the beautiful island. He's being shown around the Carapeu boat there, and well, it really was a great weekend for everybody on the island. So we're looking forward to the racing now. That's coming up very shortly. Let's just savour a few more sights of Malta before we get to that. Well, it's time to get to the racing. It's Super Sport up first, the manufacturer's class in powerboat racing, and away from the start boat they go. On the inside, the number one grid position is going to be the Spirit of Belgium boat with the lady driving, sponsored by Rotary. Next to her, the Biathloni boat. There you go, you can see them racing neck and neck with the Al Al boat. That's Big Sergio. We haven't heard anything from them so far. That doesn't mean they're going to be slow. This is the Team 26 boat, Dan Cramphorn and Kim Collins. Getting buffeted around there by the waves. Didn't do so well in power pole, but really mixing it up. And the way these boats run, they run away from the start boat. Like I said, the inside grid position was the Rotary boat, which was Shelley Jewellery Lee from Great Britain. The boat is called Spirit of Belgium. It's piloted by Shelley, and the throttle man is Patrick Herbergets. We heard from him earlier as well. There they are out there in the breeze, coming round the first buoy, getting bounced all over the place, but being beaten to the first buoy, would you believe, by Carapeu. Now, they actually started from the number 4 grid position. We're on board here with the Spirit of Belgium number 17 boat. You can see the throttle man actually hanging on there. Shelley doing the driving and doing the steering. They've got a lot of work to do now because they were quickest in power pole, but they're not out there at the moment. Well, on board you can hear them thumping over the waves there, Shelley doing the steering, and well, the first lap's nearly complete for the Super Sport guys. Well, it's start time for the Evolution boats, and out there Snav Kitten was the number 1 in power pole. They started from the grid position of their choice, but it's the Fernabo boat streaking out in front as they go past the start boat. Well, the Snav Kitten team did really, really well in power pole, hence the fact they had their choice of grid position for today's race. But the Fernibo boat streaking out there in front, way out there at the moment. Now these boats are powered by twin 600 to 700 horsepower engines. That's a massive amount in these boats. And it really does tell when they're out on the water, as you can see. It must be real hard for the guys that are actually behind the lead boats. Actually getting chopped up round the bends, seeing must be a problem. But at least with the Evolution boats, they do have a canopy over them, so some of the spray does end up bouncing off the windscreen as opposed to going straight in your face. That's the Meta Marine boat, I think currently running in number 3 position. They were number 3, or they had a choice of 3rd on the power pole lap. And the Lucas Oil boat there as well from Sweden. That's Michael Silverberg as the pilot, and the throttle man is from America. That's actually Nigel Hook. You can see it on the on-screen graphic there. The inside of these boats is very, very futuristic. It's much more like being in a fighter plane than it is being out at sea. You can see them steering into the corners and going round them very, very fast indeed. They do look something to see. It's also interesting to note they've got wing mirrors on them as well. I'm sure they need that for all the boats that are behind them. Well, you never know. They probably just see one massive rooster tail out the back window. Well, conditions out there, as we heard from some of the pilots earlier, very, very rough by comparison. And the Snav Kitten boat has actually spun out and is out of contention for this race.
It looked like a perfect race because you were leading, and then what happened?
Then I think we meet too much waves by super sport boats. In fact, I want to propose to do the same start for everyone, because this kind is very dangerous. Because after one lap we stay in evolution, every evolution stay behind the wakes of the super sport. The boat is go with the front in one of these wakes, and we do a very, very big spin out, and the engines drink water, and we can't continue the race.
Well, what Giancarlo was referring to there was the fact that the two different classes, Super Sport and Evolution, do actually race at the same time on the same course. The Super Sport boats set off earlier, followed a couple of minutes later by the Evolution boats, and obviously the wake created by the Super Sport boats is what the Evolution boats have to run through and sometimes run round. They do overtake each other quite a lot. Now, the difference between the two classes, again, is that Super Sport is more manufacturer's class, if you will. Lots of manufacturer support, and the hulls of these boats are actually mass produced. You should be able to go to one of the manufacturers of these and actually buy one and run it yourself. Obviously it's not going to be quite the same as a race boat, but it will be something very, very similar indeed. Whereas the Evolution boats are much, much more exotic, if you will, and they do have more horsepower and go faster as well. We're on board with the Team Fernibo boat, as you can see, getting bounced around all over the place in the cockpit there. They're running very, very well indeed today, and they're out in front at the moment in the Evolution class. Well, back to the manufacturer's class. This is the Super Sport boats, and currently running at number 1 out there in front, the Carol Piu boat from Italy, doing very, very well indeed out there, being bounced around in the waves. Now again, these boats are manufacturers' boats, if you will. They're open top as well. It's very, very easy to distinguish between them and the Evolution boats. That boat right just there, that's Shelley doing the driving on the fantastic looking Spirit of Belgium boat. Throttle man Patrick Huberget's doing a great, great job, but they're not quite on the pace of the Carol Piu boat. Still being bounced around all over the place. You can hear the bangs as the boat keeps hitting into the waves. And the poor man on the right there hanging on. The Seagull boat, the Ukrainian Spirit, boat number 43. Currently not right up there, but doing not too bad at all. Bouncing around and doing their very, very best to try and catch up with Shelley and the Carol Piu boat as well. And if anyone can do it, they can. They were actually first in the championship last year, so you never know, they could actually make up all that ground. Coming round the buoy there, the Al boat from Italy, trying to make up ground on the Biatolini boat as well. Both of these boats from Italy, they look very, very similar indeed, but they really are going head-to-head today in the racing. This is Dan Cramphorn and Kim Collins in the Team 26 boat. The Donzi machine, which has actually got a Donzi hull. They are sponsored by them, which is really, really good for them. But sadly today, not mixing it up there at the front. That's the state of play with the Supersports. Now back to Evolution. Well, the Evolution boats really, really putting on a show for everybody here in Malta today. It's been great stuff to have them here as well. We're back on board with a Lucas Oil boat. That's Michael Silverberg and Nigel Hook from the USA. Bouncing through the waves. They're currently not challenging for the lead. This is the Meta Marine boat from Italy. As you can see, the very, very patriotic paint scheme on the boat there. But the boat out in front at the moment in Evolution, and has been for most of the race so far, is the Fernabo boat from Belgium. Frank Hemlar, we heard from him earlier on in the programme. He was very, very confident indeed. He did actually say in the interview if they hadn't have hit a wave, he would have been number one for the power pole. But racing is where it counts, racing is where it matters, and today on this course in Malta, they are going to take the win. Been very, very consistent throughout, driven through all the traffic, driven through all of the waves and bouncing across. Here he comes right up to the finish boat. You can see him just about to take the flag, and there he goes. It's going to be Frank taking the win with the Fernabo boat. I'm sure after all that hard work, him and the team are going to be so happy.
Congratulations, you did it.
Thank you very much. We're very happy, very happy. I was a little bit scared for the start, but in the start immediately we took some extra meters and we couldn't. I said it earlier. If the boat who is first on the first buoy will win, and it's clear now.
Frank, a victory and also taking the lead in the championship.
I think today we had almost perfect race. This pilot is crazy. Always more, faster in the turns, full open, just when we're in the air, throttle off, but for the rest, full throttle, just trim, taps, trim. It was crazy, but we had almost a perfect race. Perfect engines. It's not me who won, it's not my pilot, it's our team. We have a perfect team.
Well, what a way to wrap up the Evolution class. Now it's back to the Supersports, and running out there in front still at the moment is a Carol Piu boat from Italy, the Seagull boat there, the Ukrainian Spirit boat from obviously Ukraine, not up there at the moment. They were first in the championship last year, but couldn't quite make it up to the front in today's race. Now you may notice 3 men in that boat, and that's because they also have a navigator on some of these Supersport boats as well. And it doesn't necessarily make any difference to the speed of the boat, but I'm sure they really enjoy themselves in there. Spirit of Belgium, that's Shelley Jory-Lee doing the piloting there. Patrick Huber gets on the throttle, and Shelley giving him a bit of a rough time out there, trying to get him to keep his hand down all the way on the throttle, all the way around the corners as they're being buffeted about all over the place in that beautiful looking rotary sponsored machine. But Shelley, doing her absolute level best, was number 1 in the power pole, but unfortunately couldn't parlay that. She didn't make it to the first buoy before the Carol Piu boat, and that tended to put pay to her day and her chance for a victory in the first race here in Malta. And speaking of the Carol Piu boat, there they are, that beautiful shot from the helicopter, or quite a long way out there in front at the moment. The boat from Italy that's actually run by a family team, would you believe. On the throttles is Antonio Sciano, that's the dad, and his son is the pilot, that's Giuseppe, doing a great job between the pair of them today. I must admit, you wouldn't like it or like to be at the dinner table if they didn't have a very good race as well, as they're a family and can't get away from each other. But there he is with the winner's flag. That's Antonio, very proud.
Perfect victory for you?
Yeah, it's very perfect victory. I'm very emotional. I'm sorry because the race is very hard, and the boat, the upset is very nice. We have make just good propellers for race. My father nice driver, and for me the first win in Malta. I'm very emotional. I'm sorry, and. The race is bad. I hope tomorrow same results, okay?
Well, Giuseppe about as happy as he could possibly be for him and his dad there, but he's going to get his winner's trophy in just a moment. But before we get there, we do have some other presentations to do. You can see everyone from Belgium's fairly happy with that one. The Fernabo boat taking the win. Frank Hemler and Pierre Colpin taking the checkered flag and finishing at number 1. Metamarine boat in second, Lucas Oil third, and Cranfields Wine in there at 4. Well, now it's time for the family celebration. Giuseppe and Antonio Sciano up there on the winners' podium, right at the top of the rostrum. Yeah, how happy are those guys? Well, it's going to be a big party for them tonight, but they do have another race tomorrow. Number 1, Carol Piu and Spirit of Belgium in at second.
Giancarlo, yesterday a big problem. Have you been able to solve all the problems now? Is the boat going again good?
We are right now test the boat. The boat ran very well. Obviously, my mechanics do miracles every time. Yesterday was very hard to spin out. Normally we say the 360 degrees. I think it's 700 degrees we do yesterday.
Frank, you're changing tactics, more weight in the boat?
No, not more weight. We tried other propellers, and for these propellers we need a little bit more weight in the top to lift it up in the back. That's what we tried to do.
You were dominating yesterday, changing tactics. Is that not a danger?
It's not that rough today, so we will see this afternoon when it's the same like now. We will change propellers, more top speed. We will see.
Patrick, yesterday it looked like you had a problem. What was the reason that you slowed down?
Because we didn't have enough weight in the front. That was the biggest problem. And then I got to put more taps to keep the nose down, and I'm losing speed then. But afterwards I was a little bit pissed off, but at last I was very pleased with the second place because we kept the Chaudron off, the Danzy off, the L&L boys, so I'm very pleased.
Well, in today's action, first of all, we're going to be seeing the Evolution class out there on the water here in Malta. Everybody getting ready to go and heading out to sea. It's going to be an exciting day's racing again. Let's see if the winners from yesterday can pick up where they left off. But obviously it's calmer today, so that may play a very, very decisive role in the outcome. Okay, kicking off with the Evolution class, and from the power pole on Friday, it's the Snav Kitten boat who's up the inside on pole position, if you will. That's them in the number 88 boat there, leading away from the line. Well, after yesterday's big spin out in the wake, they're hoping for better things today, but it looks like the Meta Marine boat is passing them on the outside on the way down to the first buoy. And they're hoping for better things than they had in Saturday's race. The waves, as everybody said, are a bit calmer today, which means the boats have been set up slightly differently. And it is with its nose in front at the moment, the Meta Marine boat. The Snav Kitten machine is not up to snuff on the first straight. Yeah, and it is Meta Marine rounding the first buoy out in front, followed by Snav Kitten. And I do believe that's Fernibo coming round in number 3. Yep, indeed it is, bouncing through the waves. Well, whatever the setup was for yesterday that they changed, it's not working as well for them today. Frank Hemlar and Pierre Colpin piloting the boat, and they were up there at the top of the rostrum yesterday, but round the first buoy in third. He did actually say, Frank did say, that because they got to the first buoy first, that was pretty much the race, because they were out in front and had clear water. So the fact they're in third today, probably not going to make for a great afternoon's racing from them. Well, that's the opening action from the Evolution class. Now time for the Super Sports. And here we go with them, yesterday's winners, the Carol Peyu boat, the Sciano family. I was going to say brothers, they're not brothers, it's father and son, Antonio and Giuseppe. Antonio doing the throttle, and the pilot is Giuseppe. We saw him very happy indeed yesterday. The positions on from the power pole laps mean that the Spirit of Belgium bloke is on the inside, but being headed at the moment by Maya Attalini. And it's basically a race right down to that first buoy. As we said earlier on, it's normally the first boat that gets around the buoy first that can go on to win the race, because they do have clearer water. But today, it's the Super Sport boats that are actually starting second. They start after the Evolution class. So they're the ones with the rougher ride, as you can see there. The family, the Sciano family, they're being bounced around absolutely all over the place. Well, it's almost neck and neck all the way around the front, but the Attalini boat is out there in the lead at the moment. And Carol Peyu, that's the Sciano family, rounding that first buoy and right on the outside, trying to get out the way of some of the chop caused by the boats in the lead. It does look very rough out there indeed today. The Donzi machine from Great Britain on the outside, going round again in clear water, trying to get some sort of advantage coming out the bend on the first buoy, but not getting it. Everybody straightening out, and they look like they're down the pack at the moment. What a shame for Dan Cramphorn and Kim Collins. They had big hopes for this weekend here in Malta. The rotary boat there, that's Shelley Jory Lee with Patrick Habergetz on the throttle, being challenged by the Seagull machine coming up on the outside. That's the Ukrainian Spirit boat, and yeah, absolutely neck and neck. Very even racing here today in the Super Sport class. But in the lead at the moment is still the Attalini boat, as you can see, rounding the buoy way out in front of everybody else. Shelley Jory Lee taking the inside, cutting very close to that buoy indeed, but doing a great driving job. They did finish second in yesterday's race, which, although obviously not a win, was still very consistent and pretty much what they need. The number 26 Donzi machine, again piloted by Dan Cramphorn, trying to get round the inside of the Seagull Ukrainian Spirit, but not looking like he's got the legs to get it done at the moment here in the Super Sport class. Still very close racing indeed. Yep, this is the battle for third at the moment. The Attalini boat out in front, followed by Spirit of Belgium, and these two duking it out for third and fourth. And it does actually look like Dan Cramphorn has actually got the edge with the Donzi boat over the Seagull machine at the moment. Well, that's the first action from the Super Sports here this afternoon, and let's go catch up with the Evolution guys. Well, back to the enclosed boats out here in Malta. The Metamarine machine running out there in first place at the moment, doing very, very well indeed. Much better than yesterday's result for them. And you can see they're being headed by someone. That's actually one of the Supersport boats, not another Evolution boat, cutting through the wake there. That's what makes for a very, very bouncy ride indeed. The Evolution boats started out in front of the Supersport boats today, but obviously they've come round and caught them very, very quickly indeed. Well, they're currently running out there in front. Next behind them is the Snav Kitten team, who unfortunately had that big, big spin out yesterday. As he said, almost 700 degrees, not, well, I beg your pardon, not 360, much, much further round than that. So on board here again with a Metamarine boat out there in front. Like I said, number 2 running at the moment is Snav Kitten, and then close up behind them, yesterday's winning team, the Furnibo boat from Belgium, Frank Hemlar and Pierre Culpin. As we said, they did actually change the combination for today because the sea was supposed to be calmer. Must admit, it doesn't look that much calmer to me at the moment, but they're obviously not doing as well as they did yesterday. And running a bit further down the order, the Lucas Oil boat, piloted by Michael Steifenberg and Nigel Hook, on board with them. Something's definitely holding them back today, not their normal on-form selves, and they really are being left behind by the other boats at the moment, sadly. As I said, these boats, you look at the inside of them or the interior of them, they really do look like fighter planes more than power boats. You can see the distance there, not too far behind the Snav Kitten machine. Trying to do some catching up, and look at that, what they're going through in that boat. Absolutely getting buffeted all over the place, trying desperately to catch up with a Metamarine machine out there in front. They're out there, they've moved over into the calmer waters to try and get past. Well, on board again with the Snav Kitten machine, and what you're about to see here, look at this. They've missed a buoy. So what they're trying to do, you could see there Giancarlo Cangiano leaning over, grabbing the wheel to try and get the boat round. What they've had to do is almost turn around it in a big circle to try and get round the buoy. You can see the Furnibo boat now catching up and goes storming past them. Oh, what a big shame for the Snav Kitten team. They were doing so well. Much better than yesterday, obviously. You can still see Giancarlo grabbing the wheel and saying, come on, over this way, please. They can't be too happy with that, though, with the Furnibo boat overtaking them for second. They were doing great up until that point. And also it looks like they're slowing as well. Oh, what a sad end to the day from them after that big spin out yesterday, and they've just come to a halt. Well, on board here with Team Furnibo, and yeah, sadly you can see the Snav team sitting out top of the boat. That's not a good sign on race day. You want to be in there and racing. So it looks like they're out, and Furnibo are up to number 2. Well, after yesterday's victory, Frank Hemlar and Pierre Culpin were hoping for great things again today. They changed the setup on the boat to try and get it through the calmer waters better. Basically, what that means is they put a different propeller on the boat and more weight in the front so that the boat would have a higher top speed because there wasn't so much bumpy water to navigate through. That was the plan, but they're still running at second at the moment. I must admit, it is a lucky second as well because they were down in third until Snav Kitten missed one of the buoys. You can see them as well. They're looking very, very concerned. Pierre, they're talking to each other, and I think that could mean they're out of it. It looks like they're turning the boat off, and they could be, pardon the pun, dead in the water. Yep, getting out of the boat looks like that would be the end of their day today after that big win yesterday. What a great, great disappointment for the Furnibo guys. Oh, lots of smoke as well. Again, not a good sign at all.
One day you dominate and the next day you're not at the finish. What happened?
What happened from the beginning, we had overheating engine. Impeller was not working as it has to work. So it was temperature was going up, power was going down, and at the last we had to finish. One engine is blowing up.
Can you find a reason for this?
Impeller. I don't know what we will see after it, but the impeller was not working. Water pressure was not high enough. Technical problem, and heating. We blew it up.
How do you look back on the weekend?
Well, we're happy with that. Yes, yesterday we had a fantastic race. Today we were in second position. We took a little bit, little by little, but okay, this is racing.
Well, racing indeed it is. Two of the top running boats there out. One from missing a buoy and one from blowing it up, as Frank just said there, unfortunately. Anything with an engine in it will go wrong at some point. The Lucas Oil machine rounding a couple of boys there from Sweden. That's Michael Siffenberg doing the piloting and Nigel Hook on the throttle. The Cranfield's wine machine running a little better today than yesterday. Douglas Verbank on the throttle and Siegfried Grieve from Germany doing the piloting. And well, they're going past one of the super sport boats there. They do run at the same time. Don't be confused. He's not just picked up a position. They're in a different class. So that's about it for the moment from the Evolution class. We're going to now move on with super sports and catch up with how their race is going as well. Well, back to the action with the super sport boats. Key to this is obviously their open top. Unlike the Evolution boats, which do have a canopy over the top of them and seatbelts. Yeah, they do have seatbelts as well. And, well, you can see why the rotary boat there, Spirit of Belgium, piloted by Shelley Jury-Lee. Patrick Haberget's hanging on for dear life at the moment, trying to be caught by the Donzi machine, number 26. That's Dan Cramphorn doing the piloting in that boat there. And it really is a race out there today. They're both doing very, very well indeed. And Shelley and Patrick finished number 2 in yesterday's race. They did end up number 1 on the power pole, but the Donzi machine right on their tail. Dan Cramphorn and Kim Collins trying to catch the Spirit of Belgium machine. You can see them driving through the wake there and following Spirit of Belgium round the buoys, just trying to get that bit closer so they can pass them. Now, a lot of this racing really is endurance. It's not a sprint, and the Donzi machine is catching up with the rotary boat. But you can clearly see there actually that the rotary machine is pulling away from the Donzi boat, and Dan steering the Donzi machine over into the calmer water to try and catch up. We're on board now with the Spirit of Belgium, with Shelley Jury-Lee and Patrick Haberget's being bounced around all over the place. Patrick hanging on to that handle on the right hand side. Oh my goodness, look at that, and Patrick goes overboard. Oh my goodness. Well, that's something you don't ever want to see. I think the Donzi machine that's behind him, Shelley actually stops, clicks the boat off, but we've got to check on how Patrick is doing after that. From another angle, you see there he goes, straight over the side of the boat. No seatbelts in these machines. And Patrick now floating around in the waves. He does actually look okay. He's moving around all right, paddling with his arms and with his feet as well. He opens the visor on his crash helmet, but not the way you want to end the day, flying over the side of a speedboat. What a great shame for them. Running really well indeed. They were running number 2 again as they finished yesterday. Patrick in the water there, his life jacket keeping him up, all the other boats going round the outside of him. Shelley Jury-Lee is well out the way with the boat. And I'm sure very, very concerned indeed for her throttle man. That was a horrible thing to watch. The fact that Patrick actually went over her head. There you go. Shelley's on the radio back to shore saying, please come and get my throttle man. He's in the water. That was very, very spectacular to watch, unfortunately, for all the wrong reasons. The safety boat just getting to Patrick Haberget's there. And again in slow-mo, if you watch him bouncing about all over the place, there he goes. Look at that. He nearly took Shelley with him as well. Shelley was very, very lucky to stay in the boat because she wasn't hanging on to anything once she let go of the steering wheel. But Patrick being fished out of the water, and it looks like he's going to be absolutely okay. A complete miracle escape for the throttle man from Belgium.
Patrick, that was quite a crash that you made there.
You can say that. Small, little error we did, but we were so lucky. We're still alive here. One day after 24 hours after the race, we're still here. Shelly's okay. I'm a little bit bruised, but I think I'm be ready for Sardinia.
Now, what really happened?
We went in the fight with the Donzi like crazy for 3 or 4 laps. They came closer and closer and closer. And, you know, normally you should think let them pass because they got a faster boat, but that's racing, I think. And Lucas Oil just passed us, and we were in the slipstream of Lucas Oil, and I think we take the boys really short, and I think we get into the how you call that, the waves of Lucas Oil. We came out and we came back in, and that we flipped the boat a little bit. Yeah, but it was like at 88 miles an hour. I was just like a puppy.
Well, an 88-mile-an-hour puppy is something you don't want to be, especially when you end up in the water after that. We still have a race to run, though, and some championship trophies to give out this weekend here in Malta for today's race. The Al Al boat running currently a bit down the field. That's Big Sergio, the number 22 machine, being steered round the course. And that just about wraps it up for the moment for the Super Sports. More action than you'd like, probably. And back to the racing with the Evolution class. Just about to round up the day and crown some winners. You can see Shelley's boat there still stranded, and everybody being very, very careful going round the edge of it. So Cranfield's wine machine out there, the number 66 boat, been running much, much better today, and definitely taken advantage of the misfortune of the Snav Kitten boat and also the Furnibo machine as well, blowing the engine up on there earlier on in the day, so able to move up the order. Still running up there in first place is the Metamarine boat from Corsica. There it goes, number 60 machine, throttled by Gianpaolo Montivosi and driven or piloted by Marco Penisi. And they're doing very, very well indeed this weekend. A twin-engine boat covered in a canopy, which after that accident you saw just Patrick Haberget's getting pitched, if you like, out of the Super Sport boat. I'm sure they're very, very grateful to be in there. And the worst they can do probably is bang their heads, but they are actually strapped in with proper big safety belts, so hopefully none of that will happen. The difference as well with these machines is the Evolution boats are effectively unrestricted by comparison to the Super Sport boats. There's a Super Sport boat bouncing around the edge in the wake. That's a Bioataloni boat. But for the moment, we are trying to follow the Evolution race, like I said, with the Metamarine boat out there in front. Well, at the end of a very, very long race indeed. To the right-hand side of your picture, that's the Metamarine machine coming up to the finish line to take the checkered flag and win the Evolution part of today's race. Definitely an action-packed afternoon with all sorts of things going on. Boats missing buoys, people being pitched out. It's really, really been one of those days. But the war of attrition today is won by the boat number 60. That's Metamarine.
This was a perfect race for the Metamarine.
Yes, we start in the first position and we stay in the first position all the race. For this boat it's very important the start, and in this occasion we start in perfect way and we finish first, and we are very happy for this.
Well, that's it for the Evolution boats. Time to wrap it up for the Super Sports for this weekend here in Malta. It really, really has been a great event. Absolutely action-packed indeed, with all the incidents and the problems. What makes powerboat racing so unbelievably exciting. The Donzi boat, number 26, Dan Cramphorn, trying to get on to terms with the Bioataloni boat, which is out there in front at the moment. And he had an absolutely ringside view of Patrick Hoberget's getting pitched over the side of the Spirit of Belgium. Coming down the final straight, trying desperately to catch up with the Bayer Attalini boat. Bouncing all over the place. Can he actually do it? Both of these machines giving it absolutely everything to get over the line first. Very, very close indeed. And they're looking over their shoulders to say, let's just get that little bit further and get there. And I don't think Dan Cramphorn and Kim Collins are going to make it this time. No, they don't do it. You can see the celebration.